Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Utica. I'm Branwyn Drew, a member of the Board of Trustees of the church. Whether you are visiting for the first time or have been a member for many years, you are welcome here. Whatever faiths you have known, if any, you are welcome here. Whoever you are and whomever you love, you are welcome here. We are invited to bring our whole selves to this worship service, our doubts as well as our convictions, the pain and joy we have known, our longing for connection and understanding. Every part of you is welcome here. If you're signing in today for the first time, we are glad you have joined us and hope you will stay for informal conversation in breakout groups after the service. We have one announcement today. It's not too late to sign up for the new to UU class offered over Zoom on Saturday afternoon, 12:30 to 4 with breaks in it. Please use the link in the chat. Let us open our hearts and minds to the experience of community and the wisdom of love.
Where are you going? Where are you going? Will you take me with you? For my hand is cold and needs warmth. Where are you going? Far beyond where the horizon lies, where the horizon lies, and the land sinks into mellow blueness. Oh, please take me with you. Let me skim the road with you. I condemn myself. I condemn myself. I'll put a pebble in my shoe and watch me walk. I can walk and walk. I shall call the pebble dead. We walk together about walking. There shall be carried, and when we both have had enough, I will take him from my shoes, sing, meet your new road. Then I'll take your hand, finally glad that you are here by my side. By my side, that you are here by my side.
Right where you are, right now. Whether you're at home, on the road, or at the lake, or in the hospital, or sitting outside somewhere in the sunshine, you are with us this morning. You are a part of our congregation. And I invite you to take a deep breath. So many of us have been holding our breaths for so long. Since Tuesday, since March, since 2016, holding our breaths, wondering what might happen. Right now, together in the spirit of being together, let us breathe again. For now, we might just be able to breathe. Let us worship together. Our first hymn is a meditation on breathing. Please join in from home and keep yourself on mute.
When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
Our chalice lighting words are by Paul Stephen Dodenhoff. Joy and grief, health and sickness, light and darkness, peace and anger, life and death, wholeness and brokenness. We each bring all of these here to this sacred space of unity in diversity. For this 1 hour of this one day, and pour them out, commingling the oil of our lives to become the flame of this chalice.
Hi everyone, welcome to Together Time. There's a lot of uncertainty right now, so today we're reading a really hopeful story. It's called What We'll Build: Plans for Our Together Future by Oliver Jeffers. What shall we build, you and I? Let's gather all our tools for a start. For putting together and taking apart. Let's build a door where there was none. We'll build a house to be our home. I'll build your future and you'll build mine. We'll build a watch to keep our time. We'll build some love to set aside and build a hole where we can hide. a fortress to keep our enemies out, and higher walls for when they shout. But you don't always lose, and you don't always win, so we'll build a gate to let them in. We'll build a table to drink our tea and say, I'm sorry. Me too. Me three. We'll build a tower to watch the sky and other worlds that pass us by. Let's build a tunnel to anywhere. Let's build a road up to the moon. Let's build a comfy place to rest, for we'll be tired soon. Let's build a boat that can't be broken, that will not sink or be cracked open. A place to stay when all is lost, to keep the things we love the most. We'll put these favorite things beside the earlier love we set aside. I think that we may want them later, when times are hard and needs are greater. But first things first, let's build a fire, for we've planned a lot, and now we're tired. It'll keep us warm like when we're born, then we'll say goodnight as all's all right. These are the things we'll build, you and I. And that's the end. What We'll Build, Plans for Our Together Future by Oliver Jeffers. I really like the message of this book, and I hope that you do too. Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Yesterday, minutes after CNN projected that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris had won the election, astute Black commentator Van Jones broke down in tears as he explained just how meaningful this result is for him and so many others. And I quote, "It's easier to be a parent this morning. It's easier to be a dad. It's easier to tell your kids that character matters. It matters. Telling the truth matters. Being a good person matters. And it's easier for a whole lot of people. If you're Muslim in this country, you don't have to worry that the president doesn't want you here. If you're an immigrant, you don't have to worry that the president's going to be happier to have your baby snatched away or send dreamers back for no reason. It's a vindication for a lot of people who have really suffered. You know, I can't breathe. That wasn't just George Floyd. That's a lot of people that felt they couldn't breathe. Every day you're waking up to getting tweets and you just don't know. And you're going to the store and people who have been afraid to show their racism are getting nastier and nastier to you. And you're worried about your kids and you're worried about your sister. And can she just go to Walmart and get back into her car without somebody saying to her something to her? And you've spent so much of your life energy just trying to hold it together. And this is a big deal for us just to be able to get some peace and have a chance for a reset. And the character of the country matters. And being a good man matters. You know, I just want my sons to look at this, you know. It's easy to do this the cheap way and get away with stuff. but it comes back around. It is a good day for this country. End quote.
I invite you into a time of meditation. This is written by Samuel Trunbore, who is the minister of the UU Church over in Albany. Let us turn inward now. Feel the rhythm of the breath. In and out, in and out. Find the peace of just being with the flow of the breath. Letting go of yesterday and tomorrow. Feel the restorative power of the peace of this moment. A peace large enough to open to the concerns and sorrows that trouble us. A stillness quiet enough to respond to the joys and celebrations that enliven us. There is safety here in the rhythm of the breath. The ebb and flow of life is enacted with each one, taking in oxygen sustenance, letting go of carbon dioxide waste, taking in the fullness of experience and letting go of the residue that wants to cling to us. Cultivate inner peace and inner safety in this sanctuary, dedicated to cultivating the spirit of life, dedicated to being a beacon of love for all things. Amen.
What to Tell the Children by Rachel Kahn. Tell them that this is the Great Awakening. Tell them that we humans have made some huge mistakes, and that's how we now find ourselves in this tenuous place. Tell them that hate is the poison. Teach them that love is the remedy, that it is better to be readied for what comes next, even if the revelation is painful. Tell them that this is the paradigm shift, that the old is collapsing in on itself, that this death rattle is simply a temper tantrum, the last gasp of a dying Goliath. Remind them of how they get wild when they are most tired and then pass out, that this is what it's about, that this is what is happening to a decrepit and ineffective empire. Tell them that everything is not okay, and knowing that is okay. Tell them that pretending that what is unacceptable is fine is what got us into this sick and dysfunctional spot on the timeline. Apologize for any prior attempts to teach them denial. Tell them you were blinded by desire for comfortable numbness. Express that you had the best of intentions, that you were working within a broken system where few benefited at the expense of many, that you laid low, kept to the status quo, obediently played your role, but those days are over because now you know better. Tell them they have no responsibility to follow someone blindly based solely on a title. Tell them to practice discernment. Tell them authority and respect must be earned and are not inherently deserved. Teach them that there are good people and bad people from every background, ethnicity, and belief system, that they must align themselves with kindness, that there is no more time for divisiveness. You tell them that just because something is legal, that doesn't mean it's right. You tell them to stand up and fight. Remind them of all the lawful atrocities committed in the sick and twisted history of this violent country. That Rosa Parks righteously broke a law and the world took notice. That Harriet Tubman is our modern day Moses. That women would not be allowed to vote, and no one would have proposed another notion if the blessed rebels hadn't taken a stand. Tell them love will win this war, but only if we remember that love is not just one unending cuddle puddle, but fierce as a mother bear protecting her cubs. Tell them that although this existence is damaged beyond repair, they must not despair. There is possibility, and we will willingly and willfully open ourselves to new ways of being because the old way is not working, has never worked, and the world deserves better, and we're worth it. Tell them they are not free while another suffers under enslavement. Teach them that we are all limbs on one body, and we cannot chop off our own arm without deep suffering. Teach them humility, but also to relearn to trust their intuition and beg their forgiveness for unintentionally misleading them previously. Tell them their gifts are useful. Tell them they are beautiful. Tell them they are the truth.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will I know this rose will I know this rose will I know my fear will I know my fear will I know my soul will I know this rose 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 will I know this fear will I know my fear will I know my soul will I know my soul will I know my soul will I know this rose 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 will I know my fear will I know my fear will I know my soul will I know my soul will I know this rose will I know this rose will open.
We're starting to breathe again. The worry has been with us for so long. And after days or months or years of holding our collective breath, yesterday came a sigh of relief. Unitarian Universalists across the nation have felt this sigh. A lesbian colleague whose wife is active military wrote that she took a deep breath for the first time in 4 years. Our association's president, the Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, posted a live video that showed her weariness and her relief. She thanked so many in our faith who have worked tirelessly on getting out the vote and encouraging everyone to vote their values. Colleague after colleague expressing hope, the ability to breathe, joy, to hear a loud noise rise up from wherever they were, and dancing. Videos of dancing, listings of the songs to which to dance. We are a people, we are a faith that is celebrating this weekend because our faith upholds truth, science, human dignity, democracy, environmentalism, radical inclusion, feminism, justice, and love. I do not hesitate to preach this morning, rooted in our faith, that we have reason to celebrate the election of a new president, Joe Biden. We have reason to celebrate the election of the first woman vice president, the first Black vice president, the first Indian vice president, the first biracial vice president. After so long of the highest leader of our country spewing hate, encouraging violence, demeaning people of color and those with disabilities and immigrants, as people of faith, we have reason to celebrate a good man becoming president-elect. This is about our values. We support a president who pledges to re-sign the Paris Climate Agreement on his first day in office. We support a vice president-elect who uplifts the work of Black women organizers and in naming the hope for young people to be able to pursue their dreams upon seeing her accept her election as a vice president, who names young people of all genders. We support a president-elect who quotes Unitarian 19th century minister and theologian Theodore Parker in his acceptance speech. You know, the arc of the universe is long. We support a president-elect who names the work ahead of us in this way. He said last night, "I believe it is this. Americans have called on us to marshal the forces of decency and the forces of fairness, to marshal the forces of science and the forces of hope in the great battles of our time. The battle to control the virus, the battle to build prosperity, the battle to secure your family's health care, the battle to achieve racial justice and root out systemic racism in this country, the battle to save the climate, the battle to restore decency, defend democracy, and give everybody in this country a fair shot. Our work begins with getting COVID under control." Did you catch that he named systemic racism? I did. It caught my attention. During the primaries, I don't believe that these words were really part of him. And yet there he was, standing on the same stage with Kamala Harris as a team. He is learning what justice truly means, what racial justice truly means, and it gives me hope for our country. So let's join CNN's Van Jones in breathing again. And I'll admit, I didn't begin to feel the truth and meaning of this electoral outcome until watching him break down on live television. I haven't felt the direct threat of the last 4 years on my own person because I'm white, I'm straight, I'm cis, I'm upper middle class. I'm married to a white, straight, cis man whose field provides him with a good income and a multitude of job prospects should he seek a change. We have so many protections in this society and this country that the fears that we have held in the last 4 years have been at arm's length. Fears for those who are not us. Genuine fears, yes, but not the bone-chilling kind that worries about making it back home every day. or possibly even being killed by police in our own home. The knee hasn't been on my neck, but Van Jones has felt it for himself and for his sons and for his community. For him, for Black and Indigenous people of color across the nation, this election was about the right to live, literally. For immigrants across this country, this election was about the right to stay in their homes and have their families join them there. For the newest immigrants, this election was about being provided human decency and not being locked up in detention facilities, separated from their own young children and families. This election was about life and death for our trans and non-binary siblings. This election was about whether democracy can still function in our country. And we acknowledge that there is still question among us whether the will of the populace will be upheld by those currently in power. Take that deep breath. Breathe in hope. Breathe out joy. Dance all the way down Higbee Road. We who believe in the imperative of people taking care of one another and protecting one another from hatred and harm, we have reason to celebrate. Of course, earlier this week, when I dug into planning this service, we were in a place of extreme unknown. Exit polls weren't matching official results. Key states were so tight and still collecting ballots, let alone counting all of them. And in truth, I didn't expect that all major news outlets would have projected an outcome of the election yesterday. I was expecting that today we would still be in that uncertainty. And I felt, though, like many of us, I just noticed how close everything felt. And CNN's Van Jones spoke on Wednesday with a different tone than he did yesterday. He said, "There's a moral victory and a political victory. They're not the same thing. The political victory may still come, but I think for people who saw babies being snatched away from their mothers at the border, people sending their kids into schools where the N-word is now being used against them, for people seeing this wave of intolerance, they wanted a moral victory tonight. We wanted to see a repudiation of this direction for the country. And the fact that it's this close, I think, is a hurt. It just hurts. It would be unwise in our collective breathing and celebration to ignore this lack of a moral victory. According to the latest counts, 70.8 million American voters demonstrated their support for the continuation of hatred and greed above all else in the leadership of our country. It is imperative that we who dedicate ourselves to building a world based in justice and love acknowledge that ours continues to be an uphill battle. When President-elect quoted Theodore Parker, he continued an old narrative that asserts that progress toward justice is inevitable. The full quote that Theodore Parker wrote in 1853. "I do not pretend to understand the moral universe. The arc is a long one. My eye reaches but a little ways. I cannot calculate the curve and complete the figure by the experience of sight. I can divine it by conscience. And from what I see, I am sure it bends towards justice." At the time, in 1853, he was working toward abolition, and the pressure to end slavery was building rapidly. It was a time when great thinkers were immersed in hope and progress as prosperity built. It was the time of manifest destiny, the belief that God had ordained American colonizers to claim all of the land from those already there and forever push forth into greatness. This idea of justice that Parker held was narrow in the eyes of activists and scholars today, even if it was radical in his time. He could believe that a moral order was preordained and true destiny for mankind. But many of my colleagues have already critiqued this reality, and they've shifted the quote. No, it does not bend towards justice on its own. We bend it toward justice. The same words that Rachel Kahn tells us to tell the children, I uplift for all of us. Tell them that this is the Great Awakening. Tell them that we humans have made some huge mistakes, and that's how we find ourselves in this tenuous place. Today, we are in a tenuous place. Trumpism isn't over. It won't be over on January 20th. 70 million people support the idea that our country should be about power for the sake of power, superiority for the sake of superiority, hatred, lies, anything that makes it easy to feel good about yourself and ignore the possibility of it being really complicated. And so for our children and ourselves, tell them that everything is not okay, and knowing that is okay. Tell them that although this existence is damaged beyond repair, they must not despair. There is possibility, and we will willingly and willfully open ourselves to new ways of being, because the old way is not working, has never worked, and the world deserves better, and we're worth it. At various times in my life as a Unitarian Universalist, I have heard it said that UUism should be a truly universal faith and that there is no reason why someone wouldn't be a Unitarian Universalist because we are so open and accepting. I've heard it said that our faith could be the faith of the world, bringing in every person. But that will never be the case because ours is a challenging faith. It asks us to dig deep within ourselves and our world and acknowledge the hardest of truths. There are no easy answers. Everything is not okay. Justice will not happen on its own. It needs every one of us to build it piece by excruciating piece. And the first piece is being able to learn new ways, to accept the ways in which we have been wrong, to actively change our own hearts and actions, to be led by others, abandoning the power to which we are accustomed, and to know that the feeling of in-betweenness and uncertainty is our deepest truth. Ours is a challenging faith, and it asks more of us than we often acknowledge. We breathe today. We celebrate today. Yes, we dance today. Victories are to be celebrated, and this is a victory for our values and our faith. But justice will not create itself, and we must be back to the work tomorrow. I have faith in you. I have faith in Unitarian Universalists worldwide. I have faith that another world is possible because we will build it. May it be so, and amen. Please join in singing, while muted, our closing hymn, Love Will Guide Us.
Love will guide
free to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. Please join in extinguishing our chalice. The words are on your screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. Our benediction is by Elena Westbrook. Go in hope, for the arc of the universe is long, and we can bend it towards justice. Go in courage, for together we have the strength to confront injustice in our daily lives and the larger world. Go in love, because a holy and generous love is both the reason and the means by which we transform our lives. Amen.